The day after I finished editing this video, Moog announced a huge wave of redundancies following their acquisition by InMusic. It looks like a lot of the manufacturing is going to move over to the Far East, which I guess is probably expected after that move. But you know, you really got a feel for the employees and the family. And I thought if I upload this without mentioning anything at all, it just seems a bit tone deaf, especially as at the end of this video I do mention issues with quality, and it's not quality about Moog, it's quality about new synths versus old synth. 40-year-old synths still going strong. Will new synths do the same in 40 years time? And I'm a massive Moog fan. If you know this channel, you know I am. I've got a mini Moog there, I've got a Voyager there signed by Bob Moog himself, 5 Moogafogus I should say, a couple of the control units. Up there, I've got the D-Fan, the Subharmonicon, and the Mother 32 that featured in my Godfather video last week. And of course, I've got the Grandmother and I've got the Prodigy, all bought myself. They're all my synths and I love them all. I just hope that InMusic know what they've got. I'm sure they do. And I hope they don't dilute the brand. I hope they use the cash that they're saving by moving the manufacturing. I really hope they put that into some new innovative and cool products. And I think we've all got to say a big well done to Moog for trying to keep it going in Asheville. And you know, they had employee ownership and all that. Hopefully the employees have got a little something out of that sale. I don't know. But before we start this, I should mention that I've got a Moog Prodigy raw oscillator sample pack. It's for £3 on my starskycar.com website. And of course, patrons will get that for free. So if you really like the sound of those Prodigy vintage oscillators that you're going to hear in a minute, pick that up and have fun with them. Anyway, let's press play on what I was actually going to release last week. Been meaning to do this for a while now. 2 beautiful Moogs, similar form. In fact, they're both almost the same size. Both got 2 octaves, pitch bend, a modulation wheel, very Moogy. Both got 2 oscillators with sync. The Prodigy currently sells for around the £1,000 mark, but you can see them for sale for some more excruciatingly high prices. Here's one on eBay in the UK for £1,900. Whether they'll get that is doubtful, but they're consistently more expensive than a Grandmother, which you can pick up used between £600 and £700 or thereabouts. And I just wondered if the Grandmother could be a replacement for a Prodigy. If you've got a Prodigy and it needs a bit of attention, it needs some money spending on it, could you just go and buy yourself a Grandmother, be done with it? You've got something that's got a warranty, you've got something that integrates better into a more modern studio, or will it just not do that Prodigy thing that you like so much? So I'm not going to go into every single different aspect of these. I'm not going to compare them as like for like synths, because that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, you know, because I really do like the Grandmother. I like its flexibility, I like all the functionality. You know, you've got a third oscillator from the LFO, for example. That's the LFO. Oscillator 2. There's 3 oscillators playing there, nicely out of tune with each other. But you're definitely stuck with oscillator 1 and oscillator 2 on the Prodigy. Yes, you can do the filter thing with the self oscillation, but you can do that on the Grandmother as well. But on the Prodigy, you've got 2 ASD stroke R envelopes. On the Grandmother, you've only got a single envelope, but it is ADSR. Plus you got an ARP and a sequencer, plus you got noise, plus you got all these different patch points, plus you got a spring reverb. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to do them as like for like. And from that perspective, the Grandmother is a no-brainer. But side by side, how do they compare from a raw tone perspective? And I have to say, I've not done this before today. I've not put them next to each other. First time I did it was this morning as I set all this up. And the first thing I noticed was this. We're getting a lot more presence from the Prodigy. There's a definite roll-off on the high frequencies in the Grandmother. And looking at the frequency analysis, you can see I'm not just imagining it. It's not huge, but it is there and does depend on what you're listening to it on, obviously. I've got headphones on now while I'm recording, But before that, through the monitors, it was huge. But that may be quite subtle from your perspective. I do think the Prodigy will punch through in a mix more. And I did find this with the Mini Moog versus the Sub 37 or the Voyager as well. The older design, the older synth, has a brighter tone to it, whether that's just a Moog thing, I don't know, but you'd sort of suspect that an old synth would sound warmer, it would lose some of that top end, but it's not like a knife that goes blunt over time. It still keeps that fizz. Let's try a different waveform. Let's put it on a square. On the Prodigy, you don't get a square and oscillator 1, you get a square and oscillator 2. Oscillator 1, you get a pulse, so let's put it on oscillator 2. And we're still getting some difference there. Yeah, we're still getting a lot more high end on the Prodigy. I don't think it's as obvious with the square as it was with the sawtooth, but then again, maybe that's just because I've got my headphones on. Let's try the triangle. Much, much smoother on the grandmother. Probably a much better triangle, but it doesn't have that little buzz that you've got on the Prodigy. Again, so if you've got sounds that you rely on that little buzz and you like that cutting through, grandmother's not going to do it for you. And all this is a complete surprise to me. We've not made this video to show this in particular. It's just happening as we do it. And then maybe a quick look at the filter, although I don't think there's much in this, although it does say 20 kilohertz maximum on the grandmother, and maybe that's why we're not kicking through with that sawtooth. It does feel a bit odd when you start looking at the frequency analysis and it doesn't go over 20 kilohertz. Feels a little bit like a soft synth trying to reduce aliasing, which of course it's not. So if I bring the resonance up to almost self-oscillation, you can see that it dies at 20 kilohertz. Same here, almost into self-oscillation. The grandmother's definitely got the right tone. That keeps on going way into the 20 kilohertz. And that dies off there, where most people in the 40s can't even hear it, but it does die off. And you do notice it, obviously. We've got filter tracking either half or full on the Prodigy. On full, let's just turn the oscillator down. That works fine. And you can do it on the grandmother. It just takes a bit of setting up. You've got to bring the keyboard out into the filter in. Let's try that, shall we? If it'll do it straight up with there, or whether I've got to go through the attenuator. Let's just turn this down. That's not doing what I expected. So it can be done on the grandmother. Just odd that you've got to go through the attenuator and have that at 0. That's a bit weird. So the other thing that you can't replicate on the grandmother that you've got on the Prodigy is 2 envelopes. Obviously got a different envelope for the filter and for the amplitude. Got a single envelope on the grandmother. So it's seeming to me so far it'd be quite difficult to replace the Prodigy with the grandmother. And just for the final thing, because I didn't want this to be a really long video, looking at the sync. So big selling point on the Prodigy is the sync. And I forgot about this when I did my Prodigy demo, that the pitch bend only bends oscillator 2 when you're in sync mode, which turns it into a real performance tool. And if you look at these two wheels here, you can see that the modulation is white and the pitch bend is brown and stinks of smoke actually. But we can't modulate the pitch of oscillator 2 with the envelopes, so that's why you're left with wiggling your pitch bend. It's really hard to do that. I guess we've been spoiled having envelopes for years, but I can really smell this as I wiggle it. But it's a really nice sync, isn't it? And that's a huge part of the Prodigy sound. Unfortunately, you can't modulate anything with CV with the pitch bend on the grandmother. And at the minute, I can't modulate anything with it because it's broken. Okay, putting sync on. That's when both oscillators have got the same tuning. If we listen to that on the Prodigy. Yeah, you're not getting much with the interval there because only plus or minus 5 semitones. But if we go up a couple of octaves on both of them. So the tone is definitely there, and you can do all the different pitches that you can do on the Prodigy. I think you've got 32, 16 and 8 on oscillator 1 and 16, 8 and 4 on oscillator 2, whereas you've got much more flexibility on the grandmother. So there's no worries about getting the same range of tunings, but it's just that live performance aspect. I guess with the grandmother, you would be able to do that with the envelope. Let's just try it. Envelope out positive, bring it into the attenuator, take that output into the pitch of oscillator 2. You'll have to forgive my dodgy playing with my sore finger. So yeah, I think it's got the same tone as the Prodigy, it's just a different way of playing it. Pitch bend on my grandmother doesn't work at the minute. I've no idea why, it just seems to have died on me, so. And that brings me to my final point, and that is that with the old stuff, yes, you may be running out of parts, but you can get these white caps and you can get the knobs anywhere. People make new ones, so they're not identical, but you can buy them and you can buy the pitch and the mod wheels as well. And you can get most of the potentiometers. I'm not sure if you can get the filter potentiometer. Obviously on the grandmother, you can still get everything, but the big difference here, for me at least, is on this Prodigy, it's all the original parts. On the grandmother, which is only a few years old, it's got a new filter pot. It was sent by Moog because the original one broke, but was in 2 years. So it was under the warranty, no problems whatsoever. But the pitch wheel's broken on it. So yes, I'll be able to get a new pitch wheel circuit board or whatever it needs to happen on it. It's not sending MIDI, it's not doing anything. So I'm assuming it's an electrical fault. Everything's plugged in, so there'll be a chip or something that's gone. But that's on a 2-year-old, 3-year-old synth. This is a 40-year-old synth. Whether you'll still be able to get all those bits in 40 years for the Prodigy is probably doubtful, but who knows? On the grandmother, God knows what will happen in 40 years if you'll be able to get any of the bits, and that's the same with any new synth, isn't it? So I was sort of hoping I could sell my Prodigy, especially if someone would give me £1,900 for it. It's out the door if I can do it all on the grandmother. But no, Prodigy's staying. Grandmother's staying as well. Well, it's not staying here. It's going to have to go somewhere and get fixed, which is a bit of a shame. I hadn't noticed that until I started this demo. And I spent all of this morning opening it up, pulling it apart and checking what was wrong. But firmware updates, calibrations of all the pots, nothing's working. So I've contacted Moog technical support on that one. Well, I hope that was of interest to you. Can the grandmother emulate the Prodigy? To some extent, but it's never going to be a replacement for it. And if you did enjoy that, please think about subscribing, or just definitely do subscribe. I should be more positive in these messages. Join me over on Patreon, share. For a price of a caramel macchiato venti skim, extra shot, extra hot, extra with sugar free a month, you can get access to lots of different patches and tutorials and samples, or maybe take a look, or do take a look at my Starsky Car website, starskycar.com. We've got patches and samples of things you can buy, and you can do what everyone else does and just download the free stuff. But most of all, thanks for staying to the end. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time. And here's the little tune I did with the Prodigy a while back. It's only had about 15,000 views, and it felt so nice doing that. I think I'll play it again just for the hell of it, because I enjoyed doing it. And I'll see you next time.
Searching for these for years, 'cause they're the same ones used by the Human League. Now I'm finally ready to be just like the cool kids back in '83. I think I'm finally ready to be just like the cool kids back in 1983.